Welcome to Alive and Well, the podcast for the new era of high achievers. You're done burning out, and you're ready to lead, work, and live in a rhythm that honors both your brilliance and your body. I'm your host, Michelle Grosser. I'm a trial attorney turned nervous system strategist, and I've lived the burnout story. I know what it's like to chase your goals at the expense of your well-being. And I also know it doesn't have to be that way. Here, we're redefining success. It's where productivity feels peaceful, boundaries feel like freedom, and energy comes from within. Each week, I'll share practical tools for nervous system regulation, time mastery, and somatic strategies so you can show up with clarity, calm, and confidence in every part of your life. Because you, my friend, were given a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So here's to life and living it fully. This is the path to feeling alive and well. Let's dive in. Hey, you're listening to Alive and Well. Michelle Grosser here. So excited for today's episode. This is something I've been wanting to record for you for months, because I think collectively we're just living at a pace that our bodies were never designed to sustain, right? Not only are we more accessible than ever, but information is coming at us in greater quantities at greater speed than ever. There are demands on our time for the moment we wake up until the moment we go to sleep, and then some. And I think for so many of us high capacity, high achieving, high producing women, I don't think the real issue is that we're doing too much. I don't think the real issue is the amount of tasks on our list necessarily, or the things that we hold. I think the real problem, if we're going to dig a layer deeper, is that we're actually in denial. Maybe we're pretending that we have more capacity than we actually do. So we're going to talk about it today, the cost of ignoring our capacity. And I think there are physical costs, there's emotional costs, relational costs, and spiritual costs. But I think more importantly, we're going to talk about how to start honoring it again. And that's such a superpower, because our body and our boundaries and our nervous system truly depend on it. So if you listened to the last episode, you know that coming the week of Thanksgiving, I created specifically for women who are tired of living beyond their limits and want a super practical, science-backed reset that actually works under pressure. And I'll tell you more about it as we go. But first, let me just rewind. Let's look in the rearview mirror for a hot minute to a season where I was spectacularly, unknowingly ignoring my capacity. And when I think back to the early days of my law practice, I had an 18-month-old, I had a 3-month-old, and I was somehow delusionally convinced that I could keep practicing law and running a law practice the same way that I did before I had kids, that I would be able to move at the same speed, that I would have the same bandwidth, that I could hold myself to the same level of production and work and expectations as if nothing had happened. And I told myself, like, my internal dialogue was so off. I just remember thinking, like, man, I should be able to do this. I think other women do this, right? I'm capable. I'm organized. I'm high achieving. I'm type A. Like, this is just what high achieving moms do. And I was so flipping exhausted, but I thought that was normal, right? I thought that was just par for the course, that feeling spread thin was just how it was going to be. I was just going to wake up tired. I was going to live reactive. I was going to carry 147 mental tabs open at all times. And I thought that's just how motherhood as a working mom felt. And my body, especially my nervous system, had other plans. I think for the better. Unfortunate in the moment, but big picture for the better. Because I was over-functioning and I was over-committed and I was under-rested and I was ignoring everything that was happening in my body, right? Every cue my body was trying to send me that this was too much. I was going too hard. It was going to shut down. I was just running on stress physiology day in and day out. And like all debts we take, right? Eventually it becomes due. And it caught up with me. And my nervous system at first started waving a little white flag, right? And I just kind of felt irritable or edgy, or I was annoyed for no particular reason, right? My patience was short. Like I was kind of resentful with my husband. I just felt kind of disconnected. I would drive home from the office, and I remember at that time my office was in Coral Gables, and I would drive home to, at that time I was living in Little Havana in Miami. And it was like a 20, 25 minute drive. And then even later on, when we bought a house in the suburbs, I was driving to Palmetto Bay, and it was taking me about the same thing, 25, 30 minutes. But I would leave the office at the end of the day and get home and be sitting in my driveway and have no recollection on how I got there. Like I was on autopilot and completely disconnected the whole ride. And maybe you guys have been there too, right? My sleep started to fall apart. I fell asleep fine because I was so beat. But then I had that horror of waking up at 2, 3 a.m., brain just going 100 miles an hour and not being able to fall back asleep. My digestion went to crap. I was either wired or I was just wiped out. There wasn't really anything in between. And what I learned as I started to study the nervous system is that I wasn't just tired, right? I was deeply dysregulated, and I was living way outside my actual capacity. And that season is what eventually led me to this nervous system work. Because once I finally understood the science of capacity, then everything started to make sense. And that's what I want you guys to see here too. So let's talk about how do we get here, right? Because I think so many of us were taught that capacity is actually a matter of character and not necessarily how we're designed, not our biology. I think we are taught societally, right, through culture, through the subtle, just affirmations and expectations, that if we're hard workers, we're going to have unlimited capacity. And if we have boundaries or turn things down or slow down or say no or what have you, then there's something wrong with our work ethic, or there's something wrong with our ability to produce, or there's something wrong with our character. And it could not be our biology, because there's this idea that's just been so ingrained into us that if we were just, you name it, right? If we were just stronger, if we were just, if we woke up earlier, if we were more organized, if we just tried a little harder, if we had a better system, if we were more disciplined, whatever it was, then we could handle it. But the reality, you guys, is that your capacity is not a personality trait. If you're here, if you resonate with my work and you show up and you listen to the show, you're probably already someone who gets stuff done. I bet you are, right? You're the one that people come to when they need stuff to get done. Your capacity is not a personality trait. It's not a moral virtue. It's not a measure of your value or your worthiness. Capacity, when we break it down, guys, is simply just nervous system bandwidth, period. How much can you hold stress? How much stress can you hold before your nervous system taps out? That's your bandwidth. That's your capacity. And it's shaped by so many different things, right? Our capacity can vary day to day for sure, season to season. But guys, sometimes it varies minute to minute. Have you ever been just going about your day, getting stuff done, you feel present, you feel clear-headed, and then you get a text or an email comes through and bam, your capacity is just annihilated. It's I'm so distracted now, right? I'm so stressed out. I can't focus. It was bad news, or it was a twist in a plan, or what have you. Our capacity changes. It can change in the blink of an eye, and it's shaped by so many different things. It can be shaped by how much stress we're holding already, right? It can be shaped by the things we've experienced in our life. If we have a lot of unhealed trauma, our capacity is going to be diminished. How about our responsibilities, right? What does our mental load look like? What about our hormones? What about our sleep? What about how we're nourishing or moving our body? Season of life that we're in, right? How about how much help we have, our support system, our actual health, our personality patterns, our own boundaries? All of these things shape our bandwidth. They shape how much capacity we have in any given moment. And yet, we've been conditioned to ignore all of that, right? Just push through. Just do more, just perform, right? Just prove, just say yes, hold it all together, keep it going. And then when we hit the edge of our capacity, and I'll speak for myself, maybe this resonates with you too. The first thing we do is, it's not that we adjust. It's not that we reevaluate. It's not that we, take a look at the bigger picture and see if there's something going on here beyond just our level of discipline and motivation. What do? We shame ourselves. Man, if I just had it together, I'd be easier. If I just woke up earlier, if I was just more organized, if I was just stronger, if I was just smarter, if I just had a better system, I could handle this, right? If I was better at time management, this wouldn't feel so hard. Maybe there's some truth in some of that, but the reality is that you cannot think your way out of biological overwhelm. I'm not talking about your planner. I'm talking about biological overwhelm. Friend, your body sets the pace, not your planner. You can have a perfectly planned week. If your body is tired, if your body is stressed, if your body is underhydrated, undernourished, you're not going to get stuff done. Your capacity is going to be diminished. Your body is what sets the pace, your ability to focus, your ability to be present, not your planner. And for so many of us, ignoring our capacity doesn't immediately trigger burnout because we're so used to operating this way. It just triggers survival, right? Survival mode. We wake up and it's just like, just get me through today, right? I just got to get through today. And then tomorrow is going to be the same thing. And we're just surviving the day. And I think that can be really deceiving because on the outside, it can look productive, right? Look at all the things I plowed through today. Look at all the things I checked off my list, right? Look at all the emails I answered today, whatever it is. It looks high functioning. It looks impressive from the outside. But if we're honest with ourselves, internally, we're paying for it. And we're paying for it with our peace, and we're paying for it with our presence and our patience and our physical health. And inside of Honor Your Energy, which is the Black Friday mini course that I'm going to be dropping Thanksgiving week, we spend 7 days, that's it, 7 days helping you identify, honor, and work within your actual real-time capacity. So you stop burning through energy that you don't actually have. Because if we keep pretending that we're limitless, y'all, that's the fastest path to dysregulation. So let's talk for a moment about what actually happens in your body when we ignore our limits, right? Because contrary to what we've been taught, our nervous system is not optional. It is command center. It is running the show of every thought we think and every word we speak and every action we take. And there's this concept or idea or thing in this world called allostatic load. And our allostatic load is essentially our stress debt. Our body accumulates unprocessed stress. So our body accumulates when we're constantly adapting to pressure. There's a biological cost of constantly overthinking. There's a biological cost of rushing through your day every day. There's a biological cost of saying yes when everything in your body wants to say no, and you know you're at capacity already, right? There's a biological cost of caretaking everyone else's emotions, of over responsibility, right? Of white knuckling and pushing it through exhaustion, ignoring your body's cues. There's a biological cost to all of these things. It's not just mental. What do we know? We know that eventually your cortisol cycle flattens, right? That's when we start feeling just really low energy and depleted and burned out. Inflammation increases, our sleep quality tanks, and it's really hard for us to make decisions because our prefrontal cortex is compromised. And the crazy part is that our body doesn't do a good job in differentiating from just the day-to-day stress of life as a high-achieving woman in 2025, 2026, modern era, right? And an actual physical threat to our body. So if you're always constantly overcommitting and overfunctioning and people-pleasing and pushing through fatigue, your nervous system is reacting the same exact way that it would react if you were being chased by a lion. And inside Honor Your Energy, we help you map out your stressors, physical, emotional, cognitive, social. So you're working with your biology, not against it. And I talk a lot about our window of tolerance, right? It's our bandwidth. It's our capacity. It's our nervous system's zone of optimal functioning. It's where we feel, when we're within our window of tolerance, it's where we feel super grounded and present and adaptable and flexible, and we can have fun and be lighthearted and joy-filled. But when we're living beyond our capacity, that window shrinks. And that's when we start doing things that we don't like to do, that we don't even recognize ourselves, right? Those are the moments where we snap at our kids, where we like can't even have them sitting next to us or on top of us because we feel so touched out. That's when every sound feels like too much, right? The lights feel like too much. We have really low frustration tolerance, general irritability, sensory overwhelm. Maybe it's tension in our body, right? In our shoulders, our neck, our chest. We start to have headaches. We're impatient with everybody, including our partner. These are all signs that your system is operating in survival mode. And I think most of us, we turn it on ourselves. And we're like, man, this is just like, I got to just do better, right? This is a personality flaw. I got to fix this. But let me just encourage you that it's actually not personal. It's physiological. It's your body. Your nervous system is trying to tell you, hey, I'm over capacity. Hey, I need boundaries. Hey, I need safety. Hey, I need space. And it's why inside the Black Friday reset, we teach you how to read these cues before they snowball. Also, I want to talk about this too, because when we're operating beyond our capacity, the state of overwhelm that our body is in makes everything seem harder. And maybe you've been there. I know I certainly have, where I've had moments where I have to do something that I know, like intellectually, I understand that it's a simple task, right? I just have to meal plan for the week. I just have to choose, order, and wrap a gift for the birthday party that my kid's going to next weekend. Like simple things that I should be able to do and knock out. When I'm living beyond my capacity, the part of my brain that is responsible for any sort of planning, prioritizing, organizing, deciding, like analyzing, inhibiting even my impulses, thinking clearly, like when I'm overwhelmed, when my capacity is maxed out, when that allostatic load is super high for me, my prefrontal cortex goes offline. So does yours. My amygdala takes over that alarm system. And what happens? I start operating from instinct rather than intention. And this is why, you guys, when you're overwhelmed, it's really easy to make poor decisions. It's really easy to forget everything. It's really easy to lose things. Like when I'm beyond my capacity and overwhelmed, y'all, I cannot find my phone and my keys for the life of me. I procrastinate on things, right? I feel stuck, paralyzed. I know there's so much to do, but it feels really hard to take action. I start to ruminate. My mind starts going to places I don't want it to, right? I start struggling with the most simple of tasks. And it's not because I'm failing. It's not because I'm not equipped. It's because in those moments, my brain is actually reallocating survival resources, right? It's prioritizing my survival because remember, it doesn't know the difference between what my inbox looks like or my calendar looks like and being chased by a lion or a tiger. This is so important. And inside Honor Your Energy, we show you how to actually start to restore your cognitive bandwidth by creating nervous system aligned boundaries. I'm not talking about boundaries like, how to tell Aunt Linda to like stop criticizing how you parent. I'm talking about nervous system aligned boundaries that re-expand your prefrontal cortex. All right, so let's jump into the meat of it. I want to talk about 5 signs that you're operating beyond capacity. Maybe you already have an inclination that you might be or might have been operating beyond your capacity, but let's really break down what it can look like in real life. So these are 5 different patterns. We're just going to touch on each of them briefly that I see in almost every single woman that I work with, whether it's inside of Burnout Recovery Blueprint, whether it's inside of my graduate level program called Rewire. I see these patterns inside of my one-on-one coaching, even all signs of women living outside of their capacity, because I think we all do it in one season or another. The first sign that you're operating beyond your capacity, probably one of the earliest ones to show up, is irritability and snapping. I promise you, if I can just give you a friend hug for a minute, my friend, you're not dramatic. You're over capacity. And if you are feeling irritable and edgy and annoyed and frustrated and just kind of walking around with a general sense of dread and annoyance at everyone and everything, that is a red flag sign. Your nervous system is in sympathetic activation. It's too much demand and not enough recovery. That is your body asking, right? Communicating, telling you, I'm done. I need space. I need margin. I need to protect myself. I need boundaries. That's the first one, irritability and snapping. The second sign I see that you're operating beyond your capacity is that you have been feeling touched out or overstimulated. This one's so common, especially if you're raising kids. And it's not about being ungrateful. It's not about not being like loving enough or maternal enough. Those are all lies. It's just sensory overload, right? We can only take in so much stimulation. We can only take in so much sensory stimulation. The sounds, the noises, the dings, the pings, the requests, the emails, all of it. Your system is maxed out, friend. And any sort of extra stimuli, any extra noise, right? Any brighter lights, any extra touch, any extra requests, all of those things start to feel like threats because you have no more space. Like you have no more space to hold more input. You're maxed. The third sign you're operating beyond capacity is if you're rushing all the time. If you always are running late and you're rushing everywhere, or if you're not even late, but there's just so much to do that you're rushing. You rush in the morning to get ready. You rush to get everyone else ready. You're rushing to, pack the backpacks and make the lunches in the morning. You're rushing to feed everybody. You're rushing to get out the door. You're rushing in traffic, right? You're rushing through your day, trying to get everything done. Again, back to kind of where we were a few minutes ago. Your pace is determined by your physiology. Your calendar does not determine your pace. If you feel like you have to rush all the time, that's because your nervous system is stuck in a state of hypervigilance. That's a sign of sympathetic activation. That's a sign of fight or flight. I've got to get all this done or something bad's going to happen. I'm going to drop the ball. I'm going to disappoint something. I'm going to miss something. All of that keeps you in sympathetic activation. It keeps you in fight or flight. It's not because you have a full calendar, right? I've had weeks where I have a very full calendar and I still feel present and intentional and I can move through my day at a really sustainable rhythm. And then I have other weeks where I have less in my calendar and I feel more rushed because I'm just stuck in fight or flight. Your pace is determined by your physiology, not your calendar. And then fourth, this is a really common one too. Fourth sign you're operating beyond your capacity, revenge, bedtime, procrastination. If you have been looking forward to getting a good night's rest all day long, and then you finally make dinner and do the homework and bath and shower and whatever nighttime looks like and get your kids into bed, and it's, 8:30, 9:30 p.m. And you should start getting yourself ready for bed. But instead, you are doing all of this stuff late into the evening and procrastinating and pushing off your bedtime and doing stuff to get caught up or doing stuff for yourself because that's the only time you have to yourself, what have you. Y'all, that's not lack of discipline or what. It's your body trying to reclaim autonomy. It's your body trying to reclaim some sense of self, some sense of humanness after a day of overgiving and taking care of everyone else's needs and emotions and desires and requests. And it's your body being like, hey, what about me? When do I get to watch my show, right? When do I get to read my book? When do I get to get caught up on X, Y, or Z that's just living rent-free in my brain? And it's your nervous system saying like, I need self, right? I have needs too. I need stillness. I need silence. I need entertainment. I need enjoyment. I need connection. I need agency. And we start to push off bedtime to get this time in for ourselves. And it turns out as this revenge bedtime procrastination, because then, right, the loop begins and we stay up doing things that aren't particularly serving us well. And then we go to bed later than we wanted to. And then we wake up tired the next morning and so on. So that's the fourth one. And then finally, the fifth sign that you're operating beyond your capacity is that you probably tend to be in this pattern of overcommitting and then regretting it. And this is a capacity awareness problem. You're making commitments. You're saying yes and taking things on and saying you'll be there from your ideal self, not from your realistic nervous system capacity state, right? You're making commitments. Yeah, I'll want to go to that. Yeah, I'll be ready for that. Yeah, I'll be up to that. Yeah, I'll have energy for that. I'll have bandwidth for that. Ideal self, instead of actually making decisions from your realistic nervous system state. And again, inside of this Black Friday mini course, I'm going to help you identify your actual daily bandwidth so you can stop making promises that future you cannot sustain. And this is something I'm really working on for myself this last year, and it's made such a difference. My default now is no, right? Unless something really lights me up, then it's a yes. And operating from that space, one, I stopped making commitments from my ideal self, because how I'm feeling today, if I'm not feeling well or rested at the end of the day, and I haven't for the last forever, I'm probably not going to be feeling super energetic on Friday night to go out to dinner or whatever the thing is that I committed to on Tuesday, right? And then Friday rolls around and I'm like, man, why did I agree to this? It wasn't a full body yes. I just went out of obligation, or because it's been a while since I've seen these people, or because, my husband keeps telling me I got to get out of the house more, or whatever it is. I stopped making commitments from my ideal self. And I actually started saying yes only when it's a full body yes, when I've actually been able to identify what my daily bandwidth looks like and can answer from a realistic nervous system state. Okay, so those are the 5 signs. Those are 5 signs. There's so many more, right? That you're operating beyond your capacity. And we know that there's obviously a cost to these things, right? And I don't want to go too deep into this, but let's just touch on a couple of them because I think it's important. I think one of the costs of ignoring our capacity is that we start to feel resentful. And holy moly, can I tell you, like that time I told you about when I had really young kids in my law practice, that was probably the most resentful I've ever been in my whole life. My resentment mostly toward my husband and sometimes my law partner, but mostly my husband. And man, that was not a good place to be. Resentment in that capacity, I think, isn't a character flaw. It's not like I was like I'm mean-spirited or it was a heart issue. It's like it was a capacity issue. It was what happened when I lived beyond my margin repeatedly, right? Over and over and over, overextending myself, overcommitting, like just saying yes when I just wanted to say no in so many different ways and different avenues in my life without replenishing and without having boundaries in place to protect myself and my priorities. I think another cost of ignoring our capacity is that we experience less joy. We're less present. And that's because our brain is in survival mode. And when we're in survival mode, y'all, when we're in fight or flight, joy is not neurobiologically either necessary or accessible. Play, not necessary when you're in fight or flight. Connection, not necessary when you're in fight or flight, right? Creativity, not necessary when you're in fight or flight. Your body and your mind in that state has one priority: fight or run, keep you safe, right? For us to be able to experience deep joy, presence, play, connection, creativity, this lightheartedness, this playfulness, right? Flirting with our husband as he walks through the kitchen, like that requires safety in our nervous system. And when we are ignoring capacity, and this is probably going to hit hard. When we are ignoring capacity, it steals our presence from the people we love most. It steals presence from our kids. It steals presence from our partner, from our friendships, right? From our calling. And I think most of all from ourselves. And then I want to touch on this last cost of ignoring our capacity, because I think a lot of us, I think we have this idea that we think we need to be more productive, right? Or we need to use our time better. I'll say it that way. And when we are operating beyond our capacity, there's actually an inverse correlation to our productivity. We think we're doing more because we're pushing harder and staying up later and going right beyond our bandwidth and just like grinding, because that's what grinders do. But it's true. The more you ignore capacity, the less productive your brain becomes. Because when you are running on an empty tank, guess what drains? Your memory drains, your focus drains, right? You lack of clarity, lack of follow through. It's really hard to problem solve. You have very poor emotional regulation. But when you honor your capacity, you honor your bandwidth, you let your yes mean yes and your no mean no, and you know how to manage your energy and your time and your calendar in a way that is life-giving with healthy boundaries in place that protect your values and your priorities, you increase efficiency. When you honor capacity, you increase efficiency. Why? Because your prefrontal cortex is back online. And your prefrontal cortex is what allows you to be productive and efficient, right? To be focused and present and get things done. So let me just give you a quick rundown of what's coming the week of Thanksgiving. The mini course is called Honor Your Energy. It's a 7-day nervous system and boundaries reset. It's normally $197. The whole week of Black Friday, it's dropped all the way down to $47. And it's designed to help you identify your energy leaks. I want you guys to start to understand your real capacity. I want you to stop self-abandoning under pressure. I want to teach you how to hold your boundaries, right? Sustainable boundaries you can actually keep, which will help you create rhythms that feel sustainable. So you can do what? I want you to reclaim your time. I want you to reclaim your peace, reclaim your bandwidth, right? Reclaim your ability to be present with the people you love. And I'm going to be there to support you. So as soon as you register, you're going to have access to the curriculum. You're also going to get a Calm Under Pressure roadmap, which is a short kickoff video, a printable like boundary reset tracker. I have daily scripts for you to use for different boundaries. I have a spreadsheet that I created within there so you can kind of have like a boundary blueprint. It's awesome. And then even more exciting than that is we're going to be doing a live call together. It's an integration call, and I'm going to guide you for 60 minutes on how you cope with stress. So I'm going to give you a bunch of different coping mechanisms. We're going to go through them. You're going to be able to identify the ones that you tend to go to when you're feeling stressed out and overwhelmed. And then we're going to take a look at, in real time, how does it serve you? How does it hold you back? How can you start to be more intentional and set some boundaries around that coping mechanism so that it serves you so much better? And guys, with the stress of the holidays, it's perfect timing. We're going to do this in early December before the holidays get too crazy. And then I'm also going to include a VIP upgrade option. So if you want more support and more understanding, you can upgrade to an Honor Your Energy VIP. You're going to get a personalized energy audit. I'm so excited about this. And then together with just the VIPs, there's going to be an additional VIP only coaching lab the following week where you're going to get direct guidance from me on the results of your energy audit. And we're going to go through it in real time. I'm going to open up for Q&A, but this is really your chance to learn the tools that actually work under pressure. So you're ending the year one, present, right? Calm and present. And also so that you're not entering 2026 already exhausted. I don't know about you, but that sounds really good to me. So keep an eye out. The doors are going to open the Monday of Thanksgiving week. And they're going to stay open. It's going to stay open for a whole Monday. So it's going to close on Cyber Monday. The window is fairly short. But I want you to be able to use this and jump into it. Shoot super short daily somatic body-based practices. And then there's just 3 20-minute or less lessons, because I want you to be able to fly through this and put it into practice and start to experience the ROI of healthy boundaries and somatic tools to regulate your nervous system. Because the truth of the matter, you guys, is that your capacity is actually not something to like fix. It's not a limit that you want to learn how to outrun. It's a God-designed rhythm. There's purpose in it. There's a quiet intelligence that is woven into your body to keep you grounded and present and honest and anchored and whole. And let me tell you from experience that when you learn to honor that rhythm, right? Honor your energy, life opens up, your peace will deepen and your presence will sharpen and your purpose will become so much clearer and more sustainable. So you don't actually become less, right? It's not about me teaching you how to do less. I'm not really interested in that. It's about actually doing more of the things that actually matter to you, more of the things that light you up, that give you energy and life. So good. Okay, I will see you in the next episode. Trust me, what's coming for Black Friday is going to shift the way you inhabit your body and your boundaries in the most life-giving way. I'm so excited for you guys to experience it. Thanks for being here with me today. I love y'all so much. Be well.
If you love Mommy's podcast, leave a review.
Thanks for listening to Alive and Well. If today's episode resonated, would you do me a favor? Take 30 seconds and leave a 5-star rating and short review. It really helps to get this show out to other people just like you who could also use the information in this podcast. And if you're ready to take the next step in regulating your nervous system, download my free Nervous System Reset Guide. It's linked right in the show notes. Inside, you'll find simple, body-based practices to help you feel more clear, calm, and connected starting today. Make sure you're following the show so you don't miss out on what's coming next, because you were made to thrive. Fully alive, fully present, and fully well. I'll see you soon.